What's really the hardest part about leading culture work that most people would not expect?
So it's funny because I think it reflects back to some of the answers we've given. People think that sometimes culture is confetti, right? It's pizza parties, it's posters on the wall that say motivational sayings. It's so much more than that. It's really consistency by leaders and by team members. Um, Leaders obviously take a bigger chunk of that and are more responsible for it. But L&D plays a role in that. We help to not only take a message, we then help to campaign that message or distribute that message further. So it looks fluffy. I think Michelle and I were joking around in the LinkedIn chat a couple of days ago about, aren't we just like party hosters, right? It's just like so much fun. And it is, don't get me wrong. There are some aspects of our jobs that are just truly so enjoyable. We get to be forward facing, people facing. We get to give hugs, and people really love to be around us and our teams. But the true culture change or the true culture echo that we try to do is very hard, and it's also very methodical. We really the best L&Ders are sort of like a pie. We're a little piece of marketing. We have to build a campaign to do things and to get that message out beyond just a handful of people. So I love that Michelle's background comes with marketing, because she's probably absolutely phenomenal at that. We have to be, like I said, hyper connected to operational things. We have to be connected to culture. We have such an important and integral platform as VPs of L&D and engagement, that's how we do echo that message. That's, we're up there with the speakerphone sort of doing that. So.
The culture is confetti was hilarious, but also very fitting about how I think a lot of people view your roles, but also the fact that you said consistency, I think, is the magic potion here. And I'm sure Michelle would agree. Before you take this question, Michelle, Ash, what do we have in the chat about pie? Is there any other people that don't like pie?
I have found my people.
Yes. Yes, I'm honestly not surprised by this. On the dessert scale, for me, pie is very low too. Sorry, but there's a lot of different pies in here. So pecan pie, rhubarb, is that how you say that? Rhubarb, pecan, pumpkin pie with ice cream. Thomas, me too. Alyssa agrees with Michelle. No pie. Someone said pizza pie if I have to choose. Apple. So maybe they like apple. Yeah. So general consensus is apple, pumpkin, pecan.
And I love it. Is it pecan or pecan? Isn't it fun? These pronunciations are hilarious. Michelle, why don't you take, what's your take on this question?
My take is that I don't eat pie. The hardest part about leading culture, Janice really covered quite a bit of, I would have to agree with everything she said. I do think that people think that a culture is built through programs or events, and it's really built into the everyday stuff. It's how a leader greets a new hire. It's handshakes. It's how we show appreciation. And I think for a lot of leaders or people who are growing into leadership roles, they don't expect how emotional it is. We're constantly balancing what the company wants to be, what is the company going to be, and what are people actually experiencing. And I used to let people's perception or experience really take the wind out of my sails, but I had to remind myself that one person's experience doesn't equate to a failed mission. But there are gaps, and it just showed my emotions, and it showed that I cared really deeply about closing them. So I had to kind of bring it back in. And when I think about culture, the culture work is really a mirror as well for all of leadership. And I'm not just talking about people in the corporate office, like property managers. And I didn't get it when I was a property manager, but you can't shape culture without looking at your own habits and your own blind spots. And as I grew as a leader, I see it. It's messy. It can be very slow. It's a lot of personal work. And when I finally took that look inward, I could tell that people felt more connected to me. And then also that went into my work, and people were proud to be here. And that's when I knew that it was working, that the things, not just the events, were working. And we write letters to people. Several of us in leadership will write a anniversary letter or a welcome to the team letter, handwritten. And I go out and visit properties and I see them hanging on people's desks. And it's such a small gesture, but I know that it's working. So it's those little things. Yeah, that impact for sure.
You mentioned Brett Duke earlier, and I would be remiss to not call him out on something that I think when you mention the mirror, and like, to me, is that reflective. How are you leading? Like, what actions? It could be lip service, but what actions are you taking in your company to really exemplify that? And I'll never forget the times that he has talked about and shown up to properties and done the work of a groundskeeper or a porter for the day. That to me is like, when you have someone that's up at the top and they're doing kind of the front line work, even if it's just a half a day, those moments to those employees really matter. So I love that reflective piece that you talked about.
Yeah, and that's what our leadership really does, that mirror work. I know for a fact that service that Brett does is because the person that he came up under in this industry as well, who's retired, Mark Briggs, he did the same thing. I was a regional and he showed up at one of my properties, and the property called me and was like, what is he doing here in shorts and sneakers? And he wants my blower. So they really do model that. And I mean, it goes deep. Our COO, one of the owners of our company, he calls, I don't know how many people, but it's like regional manager and above. He calls them on Christmas Eve to wish them a happy holidays. And to me, my phone rings and I get a little stressed because I'm like, why is Randy calling me? And then I remember what day it is. And I'm like, oh my God, he's doing it again. Because you think it's going to stop. But he has called every year for the last 15 years. It's wild.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
so
beautiful.
That mirror is so important.
It is. And since you don't like pie, we're going to change this to pizza for your example. So